This is our access of 720 East San Ysidro for the vehicle secondary from the 805. We're coming down in the number 1 lane of the 805, and as you'll notice, we've got to get across very rapidly here to the number 1 lane on the 5 to make our exit. We're going to access vehicle secondary via this last U-turn. You can see Medic 64 diving in here. If you are not sure of where you're going, this is a really good time, or actually prior to this, to contact your first responder unit. It'll generally be engine 29 or truck 29 down here, but whoever your first responder is, and they should be able to help you with access. As you saw the area to the right, if you continue there, in a very short period of time, you will be in Mexico. If you miss this turn, you need to stop immediately and wait for someone to come out and help you, and voice it on the radio that you missed that last turn. Straight ahead where the gate just opened, that is your access to the vehicle secondary.
Once we go northbound with our patient, there's 2 different access points as far as the lane splitting. If we're going to Scripps Chula Vista, we're going to want to stay all the way to the left and stay on the 5. If we're accessing Sharp Chula Vista, we're going to try to get over as quick as possible to the right and make our way onto the 805. We do have to jump across quite a few lanes to do that once it's safe for traffic to do so. So right now we're on San Ysidro Boulevard, and we're going to be accessing the 720 East San Ysidro Boulevard port of entry at the pedestrian walkthrough. This area will always back up with cars, so navigating is going to be a little difficult. Once we get this green light, there is no straight. You'll obviously want to use your code lights to get through, and this is where we're going to meet our engine if it's a level 1, and right now if it's a level 2 or level 3, you're going to be by your own, and we're going to be accessing this roundabout right here. So we're going to go ahead and use our code lights and come up through into this roundabout. Access is going to be this blue building right here. We're going to walk down the path and go in and be met by one of the customs agents, and they'll direct us to the patient from this point on. We also have the trolley right here, is one of the pickup locations that's very frequent, as well as this McDonald's. Okay, next we're gonna access off a rail court right here. So we're gonna go across the trolley tracks. Not as often as pickup, but we'll have access to the border wall itself. And it'll specify in your CAD notes that we're gonna be coming here to the rail court entry. So we're going to be coming back around.
Up that straight ramp right there to meet with the Border Patrol. It looks a little bit intimidating, but the ambulance will make it along the border wall if necessary. Another access may be jumping in a Border Patrol vehicle, very uncommon, but still does happen, and you can retrieve your patient from there.
Alright, so right now we're going to access the San Ysidro port of entry at 720 East San Ysidro Boulevard, but this time it's going to be at the west pedestrian walkthrough. Access to this is actually going to be on Virginia Avenue, which is going to be directly across from the Las Americas Mall, near where the Panda Express and the Coffee Bean are going to be. You're going to see a lot of buses here, and we can actually go into the bus lane right here to access it. When we have calls like this, you're definitely going to want to look for our Border Patrol agents that are going to be guiding us in. Because they're going to be having the patients typically at one of their holding trailers. So we're going to come in through where it says the bus and taxi parking. access it right here. We're typically parking one of these kind of far up on these bus spots. Our access point is going to be just here to the right, where the pedestrian facility sign is located. So right now we're stopping by Station 43. This is going to be our access if we were to meet an airship for any reason. The nearest and safest LZ will be Station 43. A lot of times there'll actually be a helicopter here from San Diego Fire on standby, because this is actually adjacent to Brown Field. 43's has right now an engine, 2 ambulances, a crash rescue, and then it's got a county truck 38 as well. This is something that will be involved with the fire crew. They'll be helping us and directing the actual landing of the helicopter as needed. But this is where we'll do the rendezvous. And Jenny, want to just flip around right here?
Go into the driveway to flip around.
So straight ahead, just on the other side of this fence, this is where the actual helicopter will be landing. Alright, so right now we're going to be accessing Otay Mesa border crossing at 2500 Paseo Internacional. And one thing is they've just about completed this 125 merge up ahead, and they did change the Semper Viva off-ramp, so it's actually going to be very quick, and it's going to stay on the other side. This is going to be really our only access to either pedestrian walkthrough or the border secondary calls, so we want to make sure we don't miss that, be prepared for it. And this is going to be the last USA exit, so this is going to be our access point, so we're going to exit right here. Get in our left lane, and we're going to take Semper Viva eastbound, and that's going to take us to where we need to be. Through this light for the side of the freeway, we're going to make our first right onto this street. It's going to be just after this gas station by the Starbucks, and it's going to give us our access point. To the stop sign. It's a little bit hazardous right now. They do have the crosswalks closed, so we just gotta kind of make our way slowly. So this is gonna be our access point for both the pedestrian walkthrough as well as our vehicle secondary. Alright, so first stop is going to be our vehicle secondary. We're going to park right here. Usually there's going to be these dumpsters. So you'll see this gate right here on the right hand side. This is going to be the gate that we have to walk through. So basically we're going to park here just under the bridge in this red zone. And then one of our border agents will meet us there, and we'll walk our gurney and equipment through that gate and over to where the vehicle will be. If we're going to be going to the pedestrian walkthrough, we just pull up a little bit further, and we'll be parking just up here by the crosswalk. And our port of entry for the vehicle secondaries for the pedestrian walkthrough will be this door right here, that Sentry office. Alright, so getting out of here is going to be the same little difficulty with all this pedestrian traffic. They kind of have the pedestrians and the vehicles merging into the same road right here. So just make sure we're always careful.
So right now we're headed to a point of access for, again, the border wall, the fence line. We're on Enrico Fermi heading south. As you see on our left, that's the CHP center. We don't really go there. There's not really much for us to do there. They do like big trucks and things, but it is a good landmark to see. Once you get to the end of that, you should meet with Via de Amistad, which is right by the Otay border, 2500 Paseo International. And we're actually going to go left here, and this will take us to an access point. So when Border Patrol drops us the call, it really just depends on where they say it is. But usually they'll say this general intersection, and then they'll say go under the bridge. So you go under the bridge, this is the one we're talking about. And then the agent might be here, and they might be further south. So you can see the fence line up ahead. And at this point, you will follow the agents and turn right. So you see the pavement ends, and it's a pretty rough gravel drive the rest of it. We're not going to do it right now just because we would need some sort of assistance in there. And as you can see, there's actually two fence lines, and in between, the layman's terms is no man land. So sometimes the patient is in that no man land between that Mexico fence and the US fence, and sometimes they're on the US fence. Sometimes they get stuck on there, and then sometimes they actually are on US land, US property. And then once you have followed the engine in, gotten your patient, and then come back out, you just leave as you came in, and you can head on out to Enrico Fermi or Via de Amistad and head to the hospital that way. So now we're headed, we're exiting the San Diego City territory, and we're going into San Diego County area, which is operated by CAL FIRE and Mercy Ambulance. But sometimes we do mutual aids down here. So right now we're heading east on Alta Road, which we can see the Otay Mountains in the background. Along here you see a lot of the Amazon facilities that have been built up. So far there are no mutual aids out of there, but they are pretty large facilities. So we're just going to head east on Alta, and then, east on Otay Mesa, and then go left on Alta, and that takes you to all the detention facilities. So there's actually about 5 over in this area, which there's only about 3 that are commonly gone to. This is a pretty rare mutual aid for Chula Vista, but it does happen. So it's important to know your access points. So it's all going to be off Alta Road. And the first one that we will pass by is not on Alta Road, it's on Calzada de la Fuente. But that is called CCA, and that is a privately contracted detention facility ran for usually immigration and federal prisoners. Every time you go there, you'll just find the Sally port, and if you cannot find it, there should be an engine or truck on scene to further direct you, and you can hit your engine or truck up on the tactical channel to get further instruction. The next one after that is going to be Donovan State Prison, ran by California Department of Correction and Rehabilitation. That's going to be on our left-hand side. We are not going to enter it because you should only enter it for an actual patient. They have high security, as you can imagine, with the state prison. But on the left-hand side, we see the entrance to the prison. Once you go in there, there is an initial Sally port, an initial guard tower, and if you're not familiar with the prison, then they will further direct you. As we continue to go down Alta Road, there's a couple access points up to the Otay Mountains. So if for whatever reason you're ever mutual aided there, it's pretty much just along the right side of the road here. As you can see, it says Otay Mountain Truck Trail. I'm not sure if the ambulance will actually make it up there, so just make sure to be monitoring your tactical channels with fire and with Border Patrol to see what the best access is. And the channels are actually for this area 11 Echo 11 Foxtrot or 11 Hotel 11 India. Commonly, unfortunately, Metro Dispatch will say that the Monte Vista channels are the 10 channels, but they're actually the 11 channels. But up here are 2 county detention facilities ran by San Diego County Sheriffs, and then a juvenile facility which is also ran by the sheriffs and the county probation system. So this is kind of where we're going to end it. You see the detention facilities, the juveniles going to be down there, and then you have Otay Mesa re-entry facility, which is just multiple strikes essentially, and then you have the county jail, which there is a Sally Port. This is George Bailey detention facility. There is a Sally Port just behind there, and the sheriffs will further direct you. You will leave the same way you came in, off Alta Road, and Alta Road will take you to the 125 and the 905. Right now, we are again in county service area, so this would be ran by CAL FIRE and Mercy Ambulance. However, there are Chula Vista engines that respond out to Otay Lakes Road, and sometimes even Chula Vista ambulances. So right now we're just headed eastbound on Otay Lakes Road. Something to think about when you're on roads like this is there's not a lot of cross streets that you're going to come across. So you want to be looking at your mile markers, because if you ever have to call in an incident or update a location, it's very important to say that you're at mile marker 3.5 or just east of mile marker 3.5 to give everyone a better idea of where you're at. So we're just going to continue east. You can see the Otay Mountains in the background, and you can see the lake, Otay Lakes on our right side, which will be facing south. Car accidents are pretty common on this road, especially at night, and also bicycle accidents, because a lot of people who enjoy cycling take this road due to its, varying terrain, but it can be pretty dangerous, and then motorcycles as well. So you can't quite see Skydive San Diego yet, which is where we're headed, but we can kind of see the lake come into more brushland and the trees. When skydivers land, their goal is to land on the field, but sometimes they can end up in these brush-like areas. It's also important to note whether they landed in the vicinity of Skydive San Diego or on the north side of Otay Lakes. Another good reason to use Skydive San Diego, again, not within Chula Vista's service area, but our neighboring agency, is they will stop planes if a rendezvous with an airship is necessary. It's just something that's difficult to coordinate, so it's important to talk to the people managing the facility. And coming down in here, you can see off to the right is the field where they do their drops and where an airship could potentially land. If you're going to make access, again, you need to make sure you coordinate with Skydive San Diego if you're going to go off to the right, because you never want to drive on the field unless it's absolutely necessary, because it can actually ruin their grass field, which it's important to use for their business. And then you just leave the same way you came, heading westbound on Otay Lakes Road. So we're just continuing to head west on Otay Lakes Road back into Chula Vista's area, service area. Up on the right-hand side, we do have the Otay Reservoir, which is a super popular hiking trail, and I believe there's even some biking trails up here. It's not super common we ever come out here for rescues or anything, but it can happen, so it's good to know. This is pretty much where county land ends and Chula Vista begins. So it really depends on who is the RP and who is dispatching as to what agency is going to get dispatched to that location. So something just to keep in mind.